Is gray hair professional? Watch this video to find out if gray hair is a power move or a career ender. Hi, I'm Lynn, and I inspire women to go naturally silver and embrace their best lives. So is silver hair professional? Well, of course I'm gonna say yes it is because I have silver hair and I'm a professional. But you might be concerned about it, and with good reason. Back in the 50s, when women were generally more at home, only 7% of women dyed their hair. But in the 60s and beyond, we're now up to about 95% of women coloring their hair. Most of us are out here in the professional world, and the availability of home dyes just really made the number of people who are coloring their hair skyrocket. So back in the day, it was actually less accepted to color your hair. Women were actually seen as kind of trashy if they colored their hair, where now it's more accepted to dye your hair than not. And going gray is actually like an act of rebellion. So if you're a professional, why would you want to go gray at work? It's a physical transformation, but it's also an empowering one where you gain confidence and it's liberating and you increase your level of authenticity. You're defying stereotypes, you're spending less time and money in the chair, and it's an ultimate liberating freedom. And in some ways, it's kind of badass. But as if the personal decision to go gray wasn't complicated enough, you also have the social aspect of going gray, especially at work. The concern about how your gray hair will be received in the professional world can seal your decision to go gray. And despite how far we've come, a woman's appearance still plays a large role in the office, where ageism, sexism, and outdated beauty standards meet. And let's face it, the stigma surrounding going gray is one of those double standards that men simply just don't have to worry about. Older people are generally seen as less competent than their younger counterparts, and women are generally seen as less competent than men in the workforce. When you add those two things together, you're looking at possibly a recipe for career disaster. So anybody who's concerned about going gray in their professional life, they have a right to be concerned. And if you're considering moving ahead and advancing in your career, many feel that gray hair would actually be more of a symbol of being closer to retirement and slowing down. It might even be a subtle reminder that you're the oldest person in your team. Gray hair on a man is often associated with credibility and wisdom and knowledge and power. On a woman, we get inundated with root touch-up sprays to help keep us looking younger. What for men is often seen as a symbol of experience and power may for women be a sign of, can she keep up with her younger counterparts in a competitive fashion? And even though the Age Discrimination and Employment Act in 1967 was enacted in order to protect workers over the age of 40 from such discrimination, it still exists. In fact, just last year, award-winning news anchor Lisa LaFlamme had her contract terminated over her decision to go gray. Companies came out in support of her, particularly Wendy's and Dove. And her news agency received a lot of public backlash over it. But the point remains that obviously age discrimination is still a thing, and gray hair discrimination is a thing, despite laws to protect it and despite the gains that we've made in society of accepting silver hair. But a lot of women have stood up to just say they simply don't care. And that gray hair, silver hair is just another hair color. It's just a color choice and should be treated no differently than if you bottle dye your hair black or brown or bleach your hair blonde. So in some ways, these women, like myself, we see our silver hair as a power move, as an expression of our authenticity, of our authority, of our experience. And being comfortable in your own natural hair color gives you a confidence like no other. So if you're on the fence and you're deciding to go gray and you're worried about how it's going to affect you at work, consider the field that you're in. Some fields are much friendlier than others in this area. Fields like law, academia, and healthcare probably not going to get a lot of backlash versus something that is much more youth-oriented. I was very fortunate to be a healthcare worker during the time when I was growing out my silver hair, so I was able to put my hair up in a surgical cap and nobody even knew I was growing it out. So it wasn't an issue for me. So I believe that this is going to be something that is very industry specific. Geographic location may also have to do with different attitudes about gray hair in the workplace. Los Angeles, California, it might be received a little bit differently than, say, in Cleveland, Ohio. So those are some other things to consider when deciding to go gray at work. Is seniority and experience seen as a pro or a con in your industry? Are you competing with people who are much younger than you, or are you mentoring those same people? Those are all factors to consider. It's all going to boil down to the relationship that you have with your employer. If you're able to have that discussion, have that conversation with your employer. Say, hey, I'm thinking of ditching the dye, and this is what I want to do. They may come back at you and say, go ahead, they don't care. And I have found that most of the things that I worried about when I grew out my silver hair were all in my own head. They actually never came true. I was making a bigger deal out of everything than anybody else was. So everybody's situation is going to be different here. The other thing that you could do is just start growing it out and see if they say anything. They may not say anything. They may not. Just like anywhere else you might be growing out your hair, your family, your friends, at first they might be kind of like, what's going on, if you don't say anything, but eventually it's going to be a topic of conversation. I worried about everything when I decided to go gray. I thought everybody was going to have a problem with it. And you know what? Nobody had a problem with it. I was the one who had the problem. I was the one who had to get out of my own way and just go ahead and go for it. What I have found since I've grown out my silver is that it's very important that I maintain the health of my hair, that I get frequent trims, and that I wear it styled in a way that looks professional and looks put together. So, you don't want to go into work looking like somebody that just crawled out of bed and hasn't kept their hair up, but you wouldn't do that anyway. So silver is just a hair color. And so it really shouldn't make a difference. Now, again, I say shouldn't because I'm talking in an ideal world, and I realize that. But just like when you were coloring your hair, you would wear your hair in a professional style, you would be properly groomed, and you wouldn't be walking into work looking like a cat lady. Not that there's anything wrong with being a cat lady. By keeping your hair well groomed and professional, the color of it really does not matter. It's how you style your hair. It's how you condition your hair. Keep up with your hair. Keep getting it frequently trimmed. Things that you would do anyway if you were coloring your hair, all of those same rules apply. Wearing it professionally styled, not looking like you just crawled out of bed. There's no reason to do that because gray hair is just another hair color and should be treated that way. So I'm curious if your silver hair has ever held you back professionally, or if your decision to go gray is complicated by your concerns about what's going to happen to you at work. Let me know in the comments. If you found this video helpful, make sure you like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching.